extremely painful. I desire just a little bit more. I didn't want to twist an ankle or, you know, get injured. This is the Nike Pegasus 40 and this is the Nike Pegasus 41. Let's compare them. So traction on both the 40 and 41 I would say is pretty much equivalent. I only tested both of my pairs in California, so it was dry weather as well as mostly just road running. And in my experience in dry weather on the road, these had no problems with the traction. Durability on the 40 versus the 41, I would say is around the same as well. Both of the Pegasus outsoles feel around the same. Now, I'm no scientist, I didn't test these in the lab or anything, but I would say that the durability of the rubber compound used on both the 40 and the 41 is around the same. And with 30 miles on each pair, I see similar wear patterns, if any at all. These have been holding up very well from the outsole point of view. So I would say if traction and outsole durability is a major concern to you, don't worry, the 40 and the 41 are gonna have you covered. Moving on to the cushioning of the 40 versus the 41. Now this is where it gets interesting as Nike has made the most updates from the 40 to the 41 in the cushioning department. So let's get into it. So starting out with the Pegasus 40, just to quickly go over some specs, it is a full length Nike React midsole with two Nike Zoom Air units, one in the heel and one in the forefoot, with a 33 millimeter stack height in the heel to a 23 millimeter stack height in the forefoot, giving it a 10 millimeter heel to toe drop. As for the Pegasus 41, we have a Nike React X midsole full length with a Nike Air Zoom unit in the heel as well as the Nike Air Zoom unit in the forefoot. However, they did give us 4 millimeters extra of stack height throughout the midsole, so that's a 37 to 27 with that same 10 millimeter classic Pegasus heel to toe drop. So how did both of these feel? Before we get into how the cushioning felt, I do want to note that the Pegasus 40 did have a painful break-in process for the midsole, at least in my experience. So the first 10 to 15 miles in this shoe was extremely painful and not comfortable. But once I was able to break in the Nike React midsole and it stopped hurting my foot, they became a lot more comfortable. That was something that was holding me back from recommending this shoe to everyone, just because I wasn't sure if it was my foot or I just didn't want anyone to have that foot pain that I felt in the first couple miles in the Pegasus 40. Versus the Pegasus 41 had no break-in time necessary for the midsole. It felt smooth and soft right out of the get-go. If you don't want to spend a lot of time breaking in the shoe, then the Pegasus 41 is probably going to be better than the 40. So how did these cushion setups feel? So in my experience, after the break-in period, the Nike React foam on the Nike Pegasus 40, as well as those two Zoom units, actually did a really good job. It was great for runs under 13 miles in my opinion, and anything past that, I did feel like it was lacking a little bit of cushioning. I desire just a little bit more cushion in the forefoot, but overall I thought that it was a pretty comfortable shoe. With this cushioning setup, I did find myself a little bit more cautious to pick up the pace just because I am a heavier guy. I'm 200 pounds, and when I felt like I was running at, you know, marathon pace or faster tempo runs, I did feel that the cushion setup was not the best for impact protection. I did feel a little bit of knee pain when I was running in the Pegasus 40 for longer miles or longer runs as well as faster runs. So I just wanted to note that it's a great daily trainer for most of your runs, but if you're gonna put in serious work, I feel like the 40 was not enough cushioning for me. With that being said, the 41 I thought was a huge upgrade from the 40 just because of that extra 4 millimeters of stack height as well as a Nike React X midsole instead of the Nike React. So how did these two feel, or what's the comparison of how these two felt? In my opinion, the 41, no break-in time necessary, as well as it felt a little bit smoother underfoot. With the Pegasus 40, I felt that I was compressing the midsole in the forefoot all the way so that I could actually feel the outsole when I was running. Versus with the 41, I could maybe feel them in longer runs, at the very end of my longer runs. However, it was a very smooth experience as well as a little bit softer than the 40. It gave a little bit more impact protection and overall felt more stable. Now, as for stability of these two shoes, the 41 definitely wins. It just has a wider base in the heel as well as the forefoot than the 40, which is gonna give you a little bit more stability. I also felt that in the heel of the 41, I was a lot more stable, whereas the 40, I felt that I had to be a little bit more careful with my running form, especially at those faster paces, just because I didn't want to twist an ankle or, you know, get injured. Now, moving to the uppers of the 40 versus the 41, both of them have pretty much a mesh upper, and I want to start out with the fit. So the fit are both around the same, I would say. They're both true to size, and Nike true to size, if you guys know what that means, which if you normally wear a size 12 like me in Nikes, then you should be fine in these. These fit true to size. Both of them, I didn't have any problems with the heel lockdown. I felt that I didn't even need the runner's loop for either of these shoes, and my heel was perfectly locked down, so that's always a plus. And as for the feel of the uppers, I would say that the 41 is just a touch softer and didn't really need, I guess, a break-in period. Not that the upper of the 40 hurt my foot at all, but it did take a couple miles to soften the upper up and really make it form to my foot. So overall, that's my comparison of the Pegasus 40 versus the Pegasus 41. In my opinion, if we're not talking about prices, I would say that the Nike Pegasus 41 suits my needs better. I think overall it's a better shoe and a more versatile shoe. I think I can take these on longer runs than the 40. I just feel a little bit more protected in this shoe due to the wider base as well as the new updated Nike React X foam paired with that extra stack height. However, once we have the price in mind, I would say that if you can get the Nike Pegasus 40 for $100 or less, which basically you can anywhere online or in your Nike factory stores, I've seen them as low as $30. I got my pair personally for $60, but if you can get it for that price, I would definitely say that it's way more worth it to get last year's model over this year's model. I think that this is an excellent shoe as long as you can kind of get through that break-in period, and the differences that we talked about in today's comparison video aren't that big of a deal. But to summarize, overall, the 41 is a better option and a better running shoe. Number one is gonna be that no break-in time necessary. This shoe is ready to go right out of the box versus the 40. Like I said, it was a little bit painful breaking it in. The upper and the midsole did not need any break-in time on the 41. Next would be that wider base than the 40 versus the 41. That wider base, in my opinion, was a game changer, and it felt a little bit more stable than the Nike Pegasus 40, so if stability is important, then the 41 is definitely for you. Third would be the updated foam, the Nike React X foam instead of the Nike React foam, and that 4mm increase in stack height in both the forefoot and the heel. In my opinion, it just adds versatility to the shoe, and I was able to go a lot further in the 41 than the 40. And last but not least, the Pegasus 41 upper was a touch softer than the 40, so in my experience, it made it a little bit more comfortable and fun to run in. Now, if those four criteria are very important to you, or you believe that it's worth that $140 price point, I don't think you can go wrong with the Nike Pegasus 41 over the 40. However, like I said, if you can find the Pegasus 40 in your area for under $100, you know, even $60 to $80, I think it's gonna be a fantastic shoe as long as you're okay with compromising on those 4 upgrades for the 41. That's gonna pretty much wrap up my comparison of the Nike Pegasus 40 versus the 41. Honestly, I enjoyed both shoes, but I do feel that the 41 is a little bit better of a running shoe. But it's up to you guys to see if that's worth that extra price point. Because I know that in the future, when the 42 comes out, or you know, half a year from now, I think the 41 is gonna go on sale, and I think it's gonna be an excellent option for most people. Thank you guys so much for watching this comparison. Make sure you like and subscribe. I have a lot more running shoe content as well as running content coming in the near future, so stay tuned for that, and I will see you guys in the next one.